I tell you, I'm Lalit Rawat, a Microsoft MVP since 2019, and I'm author of 2 books. I'll tell you what are those books. As in one of the Azure Administrator, and another one is for interview prep. Apart from that, MCT, blogger, and a solution architect in one of the big 4 MNC company. And here, the session which I'm going to present is Well-Architected Framework. And in the last of the sessions, I'll tell you how to become an architect. It's not a technical part which doesn't matter to an architect, but what are other key criteria which matters for an architect to become an architect, right? So I'll be covering briefly on that, how Well-Architected Framework will help you to build a great solutions around that, and what are those practices. So we'll be discussing why Well-Architected Framework, what are those pillars, right, in terms of security, in terms of your cost optimizations, in terms of your efficiency, in terms of your how you're going to make sure the performance excellence for your applications which you're going to deploy and all of those things, right? So let's just get started to the one slide. Just let me know why that architect framework is required. Anyone has any idea? Or what do you see when you are developing a solution? What do you need? Like, what are the basic criteria? Anyone? Yes, dear. Security is one. What else? Platform is one. What else? Reliable and scalable. What else? Okay. So let's just say, I'll give you another good example. A developer or as an IT administrator become an architect. Okay. And he is facing a customer. So what are the things he has to look at? What is his point of view? If it is the developer become an architect, he look at the things around the glance of the developer, right? If it is an administrator or the network engineer which works in Azure for some years, he look at that glance because their experience is like this. What does Well-Architected Framework does is, it's give you the certain pillars, it gives you certain practices which covers anything and everything, which covers your security, which covers your cost optimizations, which covers your networking, which covers your performance excellence, which covers your reliability, the things which we are going to move into the cloud, whether they are sustainable or not, it does cover also that, right? Otherwise, I have seen many architects, I would say Azure is still it is new, though even Azure is a fast growing, but I have seen many architects, including me, when I just going and talking to the customers, they'll ask some questions around the security with some of the past components and all, and we do not have an answer. Or probably what are the questions we should go and ask to the customer? That could be the pretty common questions, right? What are the things which we cover when we are going and building those solutions around the cost optimizations or the security or performance excellence, whether the solution which we are going to deploy are reliable? No, right? So the next slides which does is whether my workload is protected? No, right? You be in let's just say, a finance company, or you be in a telecom or healthcare or retailer or whatsoever the company, whatsoever the customer you have. First, say whether my data is protected. What are the security parameters which I am going to get, right? Whether I am going to be compliant or not. What are the things, how you are going to automate, right? Let's just say you did a manual things, right? We do all, like go create the VMs around it and done. But while doing this, you will be missing so many parameters, right? Your manager asked, just go and deploy 100 VMs, you went and there, just jump in, okay sir, ho gaya. What else? You would have to block some of those ports from the NSG. You might have to block some of those things in terms of cost. You would have to understand if then on-premises they are using a small compute, you cannot go and choose the bigger one in Azure. Or based on the performance, let's just say the same compute which is running in on-premises versus in Azure, probably it might be compatible there, but how you're going to do a performance test loading and all of those things, right? In Azure. That is something will also matter. Then whether the solution which we are providing, it is reliable. You cannot move non-cloud native applications to Azure. Let's just say legacy applications. I have an example I'll share you. I have a very interesting example. I was not in this company, but the other company which I was working, I'm doing the migrations for almost 4K VMs. Some of those PaaS and IaaS and all of those things. We moved all of those things. There is 100 VMs, which as some of those compliance related stuffs and all, we just wanted to move to a single database. Whereas we done quite a bit, code changes and all of those things. Once that is done, what will happen, there's 10 VMs. We migrated, they are not going to spin up in there. What could be the issue? Anyone? No. Because we even didn't realize those VMs are encrypted and the customer does not have the key for it. So when your OS disk is encrypted, you cannot spin up those VMs there. And that is what we learned from that. So you have to verify at that level also. So that's where that Well-Architected Framework or BAF, it is Well-Architected Framework and BAF, not a BAF application firewall. Okay? So how does it help? That's where it just helps. That you would, whenever you are designing something, you would have to care a minor things which you think that is not reliable. But that is not reliable to you. But it might be important to your client or the customer. But might be not reliable to you. So you have to look at the bigger glance and see how your customer, what your customer looking, what their customer want, what kind of solutions they want, what are the things they are looking at, right? So in well-architected frameworks, there are 5 pillars. One is a cost optimizations, then a security, reliability, and performance excellence, and then we'll have our operations excellence. So whenever you are building some solutions, whether that things are reliable, you move to an Azure, but you didn't use the scale in, scale out kind of stuff. We'll talk about all of those things in detail in a couple of slides. But what will happen when your business grows? Look, your system will goes down, your application will goes down, right? When you do not have the security, you are inviting unwanted people at your home and they are saying, Badakkam, right? So, you don't have to do that. So, that is something. When you develop something and you're having some performance issues, your customer might ask, there is issues in my system, where's the performance? Why I move in Azure here? It could be on-premises better, right? I'll say, my system or my application is not working. They are not giving you the performance. So you will have to do the performance tuning. What are the tasks you are running? What are the things you are running in it, right? Then, once you've done all of those things, we'll have to do and operationalize that system, right? Only architect is nothing, you just design some things, put 2 components here, 3 components here, in between firewall, done. It's not a graphical which architect does this. It's a whole picture which architect has to live. That is the life cycle. Because he has to take care around from the beginning to the end, what are the hurdles that's coming and how we are make sure those hurdles would convert it to the solutions and fit into any size. It's not an architect can work on the small or medium or the large companies, but they will build a solutions which can fit into any size. Not architect will go and fit in any size, right? So the solution has to fit into any size of that. That's where the Well-Architected Framework comes, and then Microsoft just really did a great job on that, and we have been using this widely. Then the second point, you will have to understand the shared responsibilities. For anything and everything, Microsoft is not responsible or Azure is not responsible. Yes, they are responsible for their data centers, their services, or if you're utilizing a PaaS, there would be 80% or 90% which they are managing, right? So that is one part. But what other stuff which as a customer you have to take care? They'll take care from their end. What is in client, what is in solution provider, what you wanted to take care, right? The data backup of the VM, right? The DR strategy, the data which you are going to put in there, how you're going to encrypt that data. Services are there. But how you're going to utilize those services, that is most important, right? The network controls, whether you are putting the firewall, whether you're putting the application gateway or not, whether you are putting some of the cloud defender, right? And what are your key considerations around it in reliability or performance, the monitoring, and so on. It's your responsibility which it does. But what Microsoft gives you, the hardware, the performance from their end, what you have to do, you have to customize that solutions based on your client requirement and give them the end-to-end solutions. The services are available. There are, I guess, more than 3,000 services are available, but it depends on what solution you are going to build in. Either you are going to build on IaaS or PaaS, or it could be your IoT solution, or it could be your SAP solutions, or could be anything, right? What Microsoft will say, they'll give you the physical security in their data centers. They have a biometrics and all of those things there. The identity and access, which is you will have to manage, because it's your subscription, whom you wanted to give the access based on your RBAC role, read, write, or contributor. That is something which you will control, or you can customize it. That is also possible. Then there are parameters, networks, and compute this which you manage, not the Microsoft. So I'll give you the base hardware. You tell me which operating system you want. You deploy, done. And then based on that control, patching, backup, and everything, it's you who is managing as in customer, right? We'll have to understand that. When we are utilizing a PaaS solutions, right, there would be a chances that 80% Microsoft says these are the things which I'm managing, but still the data and the backup and all of those things which you'll have to manage, the compliance which you have to manage. So I have seen some of those solutions somewhere near in past. So I've been working in Microsoft Azure for almost 10 years when it is born in terms of classic. There's one more example which I'll give you. One of my colleagues, in I think 5 years back, he's saying, okay, Lalit, what we can do, there is a huge cost in East US, we'll put you into the best Euro, which is a lesser cost. But the company is operating from East US. Does the solution work? Due to cost, right? It is not compliant. If you put this, if I'll say you, the Wi-Fi connectivity in this room, I'll go outside of Leela Palace, and after 10 kilometers, I'll say, give me the performance that is possible. Tell me yes or no, right? That is not possible. So you'll have to see whether it suits you to your solution and you're providing things or not, right? That is where you'll have to, make those components adjusted, make those components more reliable to that particular solutions, right? Then, what are the options which you can see as in security, right? One is identity and access management. There could be multiple ways of identity and access management. One is your subscription-based authentications. Another one is your Active Directory, right? Where you can control your all the applications, registrations, and all of those things. Then you'll have a, based on services, you can control, right? Then applications, if you are allowing the key vault, which you wanted to store your key and connecting your applications and encrypting and decrypting, right? All of those things you are doing. The threat protections is most important, DDoS attack and all of those things. The cloud security, which is Cloud Defender, which we have, right? So it's the Cloud Defender is, earlier it is Security Center, but now it is called as the Cloud Defender. So the Cloud Defender has all of your compliance, all of your security intelligence, network related stuff. If someone is trying to hack you, it will tell you which location it is in, right? So it is, and it is built on, based on AI, ML, all the algorithm they'll put into the back, and they'll insert your all the subscriptions data. So as that when you enable the Cloud Defender, you will have to create Azure policies and all of those things. And then you set up your compliance. Even you can set up your benchmark. Benchmark in the sense, let's just say you want a HIPAA compliance. or you want as in some of those governance, Australia or kind of UK related stuff, or whatever those compliance related stuff, you can even, those policies are available in Azure policies, you can do that. Then the information protections, if you're sending some of those informations, how you're going to protect that informations, right? Either using your PAM, or either you are encrypting that data on the fly using the, let's just say, key vault, or using your PGP encryptions, how you're going to decrypt, or you're bringing your own key and encrypting it, right? In a storage account, by default, it is encrypted, but if you wanted to build your own custom solutions, that is also there is options, you can do that. Then the information governance, which how you are going to govern your complete subscriptions, right? We have designed all of those things. Now, who is going to govern the subscription or that solution? Tell me, who is going to govern? As Microsoft is going to come and govern the subscription? It's your house. Your friend will come and maintain your house. It's you who is going to do it, right? So you are going to managing those things, and you are going to put that what are the informations are needed for the governance, the control which you are going to put, the who you wanted to invite to your house, right? Then if they will come, once they'll check in, there would be app, let's just say migrate app or whatsoever, they'll do it, they'll approve it, and then go. Similarly, there is a solution that just say PAM, privileged identity access management, which you can utilize, and then if you wanted to give in access for 4 hours for your subscriptions, still you can do it, and there are multiple things which you can do it. Azure policies, there is one more solution called Blueprint, right? That is also you can utilize for the information governance. Then management group is the one of those things where you create a management group, and then you can put up policies, and if you have thousands of subscriptions, the same policies for your organization level you can apply to all. And even based on the subscriptions or based on the groups, you can apply the policies accordingly. For IT, you want to give the 100% access, but finance, you don't want to give that access because they are not technical. You can do that also. So there are multiple ways to protect your systems and govern your systems, right? There would be inside a risk management, right? Let's just say this is purely an example which I did it, and I commit my mistakes. So I was working with Initial Carrier. So what I have done is, I'll just create a storage account, and I'll put the customer data there. And what happened? I'll just go and get deleted. I ask him, can I delete? I'll say, yeah, delete, please. Go ahead and delete it. I just went, I click on delete, done. And then his manager called. I said, no, it's very important data. I'll say, how I can bring? I don't have a disk. I would have paid and bring it that data. No, you have to do something. So once the data is gone, how are you going to recover? I call Microsoft, ask for their support. Wantedly or unwantedly, I have put the geo redundancy in the storage account. They help us to recover that data, right? So how are you going to do this? You put a lock. There is an option called lock, either read only or delete only for your production workload. So only the responsible person can delete those things. Not everyone to come and do whatever the changes they wanted to do. And if you don't allow into the production, right? So that is really an important part. Then a compliance management, discover and respond. How you're going to discover those incidents which is trying to attack your system. It is there in Cloud Defender, the Sentinel is there, and then Zero Trust model which you can implement in your solutions, right? So many things are there. If I can talk in all of those things, I would need at least 2 days to talk. So I'll just skip for now, but surely we'll connect on LinkedIn, and then I'll answer all of your questions. But that is some things which I'll just give you a brief so you'll know those services. And these are the things which you have to consider. People are, I've seen people saying, "Acha, security hai, theek hai." That's okay. It's not that. You have to understand it's your money. It's someone will come and take your pocket and gone. You cannot allow that, right? I have it happened once in Bangalore. Somebody took my mobile. Though even I'm listening the song, but someone came, take my mobile. But it's my belongings which I have to protect, right? No one else is coming and protecting. The people will just give you the support. And that support is not enough, right? So it's your things that how BEF will help you to identify all of those things. Then the reliability. In reliability, whether your solutions is highly scalable, highly available, either you are using availability zone or availability set, then whether you have a disaster recovery kind of solutions, whether your system has a backup or not. So if you can see this green mark, right, that is yes, they have, and then there are other systems which does not have. Let's just say you are driving from Chennai to somewhere, some 500 kilometers, let's just say Chennai to Bangalore, because I have to go, okay. So, but what happens is something is went wrong in between, midnight, 12 o'clock. My tire got burst and I don't have another tire. What will happen? Anyone? Answer? It's a general question. Yeah? Tell. There's no wrong or right answer you can ask. Tell us. Well, search for Stepney, or I'll just have to wait there, right? What I did a mistake is, I do not have a backup plan. I didn't plan for my disaster. That will happen, right? If I have plan that I'm going so long, because in production you're working like 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, and 20 years, if your services are really good, right? So if I don't plan that, what will happen? Midnight gone, I'll be sitting, someone can help. Huh? Right? So it will happen, and I have seen to it. There's so many solutions I have seen that, I said, do you don't have the backup? No, sir, I don't have the backup. And what we can do if the data is erased, or you don't have the plan? Because client is important, they are like because of that, because of they are utilizing your applications, that the company is getting paid. If they'll see the disruptions, they might move to the another platform. And now there are so many platforms, even in finance, Paytm and so many other stuff, right? PhonePe, GPay and all of those things. If one services won't work, they'll say, okay, try GPay. Might it will work, or some other example, right? That is one part. Then we have talked about the reliability, then we'll talk about the kind of cost optimizations. So, how many worry about the cost? How many of you get answer during the client call? The cost is matters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh my God, so many people, right? How are you going to control the cost? Any idea? Yes, Dev. Right, thank you. What else? Yes. Okay. What is? Yes, monitoring the infrastructure, yes. But the major part is the budget you will get, let's just say $1,000, just for example, but you are utilizing the $1,000 for your subscriptions and you have over budgeted. There is some POC or something you are doing or production. But what will happen in that? So the Azure consumptions you wanted to plan, it is well planned. You might have to buy a reserve instance. For a sake, let's just say if you buy a reserve instance for 1 year, you'll get 60% discount. Plus, if you have a OS licenses, you'll get another something. So that total cost of that $100 will becomes $20. Or probably the servers which you are not utilizing, shut down and deallocated that resources, or utilize the shared compute. That could help for your things, test and dev especially, but please don't do it in production, okay? If someone will take your resources, our application will work. So do it on those criteria where it is applicable, not everywhere. When your application is going into the production, you have to think in that time, what are the money, where we are going to consume that, right? I'll have to set up the Azure budget alerts. So let's just say, there is a chances that someone has increased the compute and you have to pay for that, right? or there is a chances that some of the miscellaneous or the viruses or something has come or tag, your network consumption is increased. So you set up a budget alert saying that once it is reached to 60% or 40%, give that, send us that alert, so I'll save something, right? At that time, you'll know which services are getting an Azure cost management really. It will tell you either you are spending more on compute, storage, or whatsoever. It will help you in that. The cost allocations, if you have $1,000, you have a 3 or 4 subscriptions, how you are going to allocate that cost to the per subscriptions, right? So they'll not over budget it. If you do it on single shot, what will happen? If one of those subscriptions can consume whole cost. So now you are variegating those 3. So this subscriptions you'll get $400, $400 and $200 for the test and all, right? Then Microsoft has recently released Azure saving plan where you'll buy Azure instances and shared across the subscriptions. Let's just say if you have 100 subscriptions or 200 subscriptions, or let's just say 10 or 12 subscriptions, you buy this plan, and the same compute when you are not utilizing in one place, it will be shared across those. So you will save that cost. Okay. So how many of you got some idea how to save the cost? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think not many. Any questions around it? How to save cost? Yeah, please. Orphan disk. Yeah, orphan resources, yes. So that is a very good example. I have seen so many, client or customers, they'll say, no, I am good in Azure, will do anything. So, okay. When I just looked at their subscription, they have hundreds of premium disk, which is lying and not attached to the VM. Public IPs, so many public IPs is lying there. They're happily paying cost to Microsoft. That's no one is caring about. The reserve instances, they fear, why should I pay for a 1 year? Don't pay. At least you think, you plan your budget, whether if you're paying for 1 year, let's just say, or quarterly buys, how much you're going to save. Because at a time you're paying $300 rather than paying the $60 or $70. So if you have $60 or $70 with the same 10 compute of resources, you might have, enable another new services around it, right? So that is some things which I'll have to educate to the customer, saying that you will utilize it as beneficial to you. And that's where the saving plans also, there's a small companies also say, my resources are not being utilized. So whenever not utilized, if they are in the different geographical locations, this what it does is, you can share that resources to there, right? Okay, then how you are going to, have this operations accuracy? The developed, deployed, operate and maintain. So first you are going to develop your solutions, then you are going to deploy the solutions, then operate and maintain, right? So let's just say if you are developing some solutions, either the app services or you wanted to build an infrastructure and all, or Terraform or automations and all of those things, right? So you developed and then you're going and utilizing your CI/CD pipeline and all of those things. So that is deployed, and then you are going and operating this, the operation excellence which I just talked about, that one, right? And then you are going to maintain that particular environment, so that will help you, right? We'll talk a little bit in this. This is, Azure DevOps kind of. An engineer goes and put their code into the repository. Then he creates a pipelines utilizing the keyboard, encrypting it, then putting those things and deploying into the production applications or the functions. Then how are you going to monitor is using the Azure Monitor, application inside, log analytics, and all of those things, right? So how many of you think deploying and solution using automations or DevOps is good rather than manually? Manually? Other DevOps. How many of you agree manually? I am agreeing to it. No one. Super, I love it. Why it is important? Because when you do a manually, you will learn more. But when you do a systematically and test it properly, you know it that what is going to be happen. If your test is fail, your manager is not going to approve that go and deploy in production, right? But if you don't create a services, if you're creating some services manually, your manager is not looking at that, right? Well, do whatever you wanted to apply the application gateway, and you apply the public IP address, whatsoever, wherever you wanted to do, done. Sir, I have done. But what will happen when you do it systematically? You are taking care of all of those well-architected framework, making sure this all of those checklist has to be proper, right? Then only it is going to be approved and you are going and deploying into the productions. And you are making sure you are compliant. Then how your automations will help? Automation account you can utilize, and you'll have a runbook for day-to-day your operations. Let's just say you wanted to decommission your VM, or you wanted to shut down your VM and restart your VM and do whatever you want. You wanted to embed couple of services, or let's just say you wanted to create a new services or operational all, or you wanted to send an alert here and there, you can do it. And then in Azure Monitor, will do multiple of things. There is insight which will gives you a view, the proper view of it, right? That how does it, your data looks like, and all of those things. So these are the things which you can do it as an operation action. You can manage your end-to-end operations, right? That is end-to-end operations which you have to monitor. If you don't monitor, what will happen? Tell me. I know that all of you guys are know more than me. Tell me, if you don't do monitoring, what will happen? Right. What will happen when you don't monitor your share market? If you put something money in the share market, right, in a stock, if you don't monitor, today is 400 up, and probably in 5 minutes is 400 down, right? Same will happen with your services. If you don't monitor, you never know who will come and attack. So it's literally monitoring is really important, and you have to put in. Either you use Azure services or third party. Then this is just an example that how you're going to put your DR around it and on premises, so you can utilize your site recovery. We have to replicate your Active Directory to on premises AD to Azure AD, and then how you're going to fail over the share points and all of those things, right? So then SQL always on you will have to utilize. So you can put your on-premises to Azure and data will be synced, right? All of those things you will have to do it. This is just an example. I can give you other example as well as to get from this. This diagram is available in Microsoft Architect Center. I'll give you a couple of links also. Then what is efficiency? Efficiency is some things which you started small, but as and when you are growing, right? So as and when you are growing, you would need a auto scaling where you can scale out and scale in and reduce the cost. The background jobs which is running, what are the background jobs is either it could be your CPU intensives, IO intensives, so some scheduled tasks or long running tasks and all of those things which is consuming. If you are not running all of those things, right, then what you can do? You can quite reduce the cost of it and then utilize it. The caching, if you have a SQL databases around it, and if you don't have the caching, what will happen? We'll have to put a one cache in between the applications and the database, Redis cache. So it will, eventually it will drop down your SQL performance because it gives you the 100% performance from the it caches the data into Redis cache and give you 100%. So if at a one shot, if you're getting, let's just say your database is probably handle around 1 million of requests, but during the business you got 400 million requests, your database might go on off, right? So Redis cache will help you to cache that data and can serve all of those requests. Same with the CDN, that how we are utilizing Netflix and Prime Video and all of those things. It uses the Redis cache. So they have those CDN servers in all the geographical locations. They'll have a main server here. There are applications everywhere, and whenever you are logging as a user, so let's just say we are in India, they might have CDN server here. So we'll go and connect here, view the content, put it there, right? It is not every time we are going to US and coming back. If we'll go to US and coming back, the latency will gone. We'll face the latencies. To reduce those latencies, to give you the better performance and all of those things, it helps, right? And those things. Then you'll have a data partnering, right? It will help you to improve your performance. It provides your security. Like, what are the non-intensive data versus intensive data you wanted to do it, right? So those intensive data versus non-intensive data, or sensitive data versus non-sensitive data, you can divide those jobs across it, and you can utilize those things there. Okay, so how many of you are ready for the final slide that become an architect? Tell me. All of you understand what is an architect will do? Are say louder? Otherwise I will not go to the next slide. Say louder. Again louder. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So I'll tell you a couple of keys, and I'll share my experience that how you become an architect. I've started my career as a cloud administrator. Then I started sharing into the community. Thanks to Neeraj, and then Swami, Ilyas, who is organizing it, right? They are my motivator who helps me to grow in that place, and there are a couple of my managers and other guys who help me to grow. But how I have grown, right? As an architect, it's your responsibility to think in something in the client prospects. That is one part. But if you do not have the technical skills, how you are going to architect? Let's just say someone told me, Lalit, I have this small applications, you build it. But if you don't have that technical skills, if you don't understand the terminology, I'm not saying that you will have a knowledge to implement it. But if you have a knowledge of the terminology, that is sufficient, that you know how these two dots will connect and what will happen. If you don't know that, there is a problem. Let's just say you wanted to allow some of those traffic outside, but you would have to allow into NSG or some of the secure bay applications, right? The business knowledge domain, the customer which you are going to present, do you have that business knowledge, how they are functioning, working? That's the reason if there is different domain, finance and all of those, right? They look out for their domain because they know how those things are working. If they'll give it to me, if I didn't work, they'll say, sir, there is some issue in my credit card transactions. Can you look at that application? I'll say, yes, I am the infra guy. I'll say, there's a networking issue. That's the reason it is not going. But that is not there. There might be, some of the code or some of the deployment has happened. It went off. But I'll look at as a network administrator or Azure administrator things. So that is really important that you have to change your prospects. The learning attitude. Well, have to learn from everyone. Either it is an administrator, either it is a network administrator, either it is an architect, senior architect, managers, whomsoever, the small people to the bigger people, will have to learn anything and everything, right? So that's where you are working on something, but other people is working on something. So you learn from there. That might be help into your these things. Because whenever you don't know what solution you are going to build next, it is not the same solution you are building, right? Then it could be a problem solver. Don't see, I have seen so many guys will say, sir, I have a problem, tell me. Sir, this is something in the log analytics, this query is not working on the networking, this is happening, or I got some compliance issue. I'm sure if you guys can put 1 minute of efforts and go and search into the MS Docs, you'll get all the solutions there. But people are not ready to do that. You'll have to change your mindset to become an architect, that how you are going to solve the problem. Not yours, but others. When you think there is a problem, how you find out the solution, probably initially 1 month or 2 months, it will, burden your mind, but it will definitely help you. It helps me. The positive attitude, whenever you're going and presenting in front of the customer or working with the customers or talking to your colleague or whomsoever, managers and all, talk very positive attitude. One example, I cannot give the one example which I just recently was, I'll give you previous company. So one of my manager came and say, Lalit, there is one solutions which you have to do, it's in PaaS. I never know the PaaS. I'll say, I'll do it. Well, sure. Yeah. I took it and I did it. Somehow I learned it and did it. There's one more example with Deepak Rajendran, is a Microsoft MVP. He told me, Lalit, there is a one call which you have to do it. Well, okay, I'll do it. There's a one solution, you have to give a talk on GitHub Action. I'll say, I'll did it. The next week, call me, I'll say, you have to do it on a Visual Studio. And when is the session? He said, he called me on Monday, it was on Thursday. I said, fine. I never ever worked on Visual Studio. I get prepared, delivered the session, it's hit. So sometimes you don't know what is your capability, but your positive thinking will help you to grow to the next level, right? Okay. And then vendor agnostics, you don't think that you work on Microsoft Azure, because in Microsoft Azure only, right, there are multiple of vendors who is working. Tomorrow might be, after that there is a session for SAP, right? Tomorrow might be the SAP guys will come, okay, I have to integrate with Microsoft Azure. You know Azure, but if you know a little bit knowledge of SAP, could help us both of you. Or let's just say, you know a developer, but you don't know the networking. So a little bit knowledge can help you where the things are blocking and you can solve those things from your end. Or could be, other stuffs. Either it could be a technical, personal, and professionals. So you would be, learn from everywhere and only learn those things which you know, like which you really want. Don't learn everything, but which is you feel that is something which help you in your future. The Dell, HP, and all of those things, like they are coming with multiple solutions, stacks, and all of those things. There is a couple of other tools which is there that you can do it. Then always try to give the flexible solutions to your client and to your managers and whomsoever, right? Because that is something can fit in any size. And it will really help you, right? So all of those things which you can, there are so many things to talk, but these are the things which I feel is really important to become an architect. If you, a 3 or 4 also, if you can adopt it, you will be a become. At least you can start your journey. There is, BEF is already there. I just wanted to show these things that I have done this assessment. I don't have time much, but I'll try to showcase. In between, if you have any questions. So this is the WellArchitected Frameworks preview, which I just did it in the report, but there are multiple of things which you can do it. I'll just open that report. So in this report, if you can see the guidance and all, right, I'll click on the guidance. Just 1 minute. I haven't answered for all, but it will show you that what is your report. So this is my report. What are the rooms I have to enable, either the reliability, cost optimizations, AGSAP solutions, excellence, and all, right. So it will have all those questionnaires which you will have to ask your customers, put the responses, what is your requirement, what is your customer requirement, put in. It will give you an automatic ways to how you can do it. Even you can import the data into the CSV. So that is one, and thanks to our